Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Fantasy Fullback Dive, brought to you by the good people at the Roto Street Journal, acting as your lead blocker to fantasy glory, paving your way to fantasy excellence, making all your football-related fantasies come true. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones. Getting an echo, Wolf. You hear that?
I hear that for a second. I don't know where it's coming from.
All right, let's fix it. All right, here we go. Sorry for that, folks. That was such a clean opening. Other than that, I was killing it. Anyway, guys. I'm sorry to say the opening got messed up. Anyway, we're going into week 10 now of our lead up to Thursday night football show. I wasn't here last week because it was Halloween and I was trick-or-treating with the kids. I was cut short the week before. So it's been like, 2.5 weeks or a week and a half, whatever the math is, since I've been on, which seems like forever, honestly. But it's good to be back. I'm your host, Nat the Truth Jones. With me, as always, the Wolf of Roto Street himself in his new estate. And we got a big Thursday night football game coming up. We got the Bengals at the Ravens. The Bengals giving up 6 or 6-point underdogs at Baltimore with a juicy 52.5-point over-under. Wolf, I know you're excited about this.
Yeah, you got to be happy about this one. Again, you mentioned 52.5 over-under, one of the highest we've seen all year, and I'm taking the over. I think we're going to get an absolute
of course you are.
bonanza. You know I'm going for the over, but it doesn't hurt that in Ravens games, overs are 8-1 on the season. This offense is unbelievable. The defense has taken huge step backs, and that means massive shootouts whenever the opponent warrants it, and certainly the Bengals are cooking right now. Joe Burrow had a quote last week where he said, one, we recognize we have to win pretty much every single game here on out, and two, anytime we don't score a touchdown from here on out, I am pissed off. And you could see it in his eyes, too. And, of course, a quarterback wants to score there. They want touchdowns and whatnot. But, you could just see the conviction. They did. I think they scored a touchdown on every single drive except the last one of the game when they were already up 21. And he was still pissed that they didn't score on that drive. So I love this. I love that the Bengals are just going all out, balls to the wall right now with Burrow. I love that the Ravens just consistently bleed points. This is going to be a beautiful, beautiful shootout game, and we got plenty of fantasy firepower and lots of interesting questions. This is one of those Thursday nights where it is like, do we play Mike Gesicki? Do we play Mark Andrews? What do we do? There's not only, of course, the studs that we can't wait to see, but there is some fantasy juice in the air tonight, which is my favorite type of Thursdays. Hopefully, we get a lot of questions on some of these guys, and we can ultimately help you guide you to the right decisions.
Yeah, there really is tons of fantasy firepower here, and you really can see the difference, specifically in Joe Burrow. So there seems to be some sort of switch that went off because, he was, I guess mediocre would be the best way to describe him for at least the first chunk of the season. And now he just seems totally locked in. He's up there and, yards passed for and all that. And it seems like a different guy. And we've seen him. We know he's a legit, really, really good quarterback. He's a former almost Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's won on just about every level. And he's got a great receiving core to throw to. And it really seems like this could be a collision course in this game. The Ravens might be the best team in football.
At least the best offense in football. There's no doubt about that. I believe they're second in points per game right now. They kind of flip-flop with the Commanders and the Lions each and every week. They're certainly up there. But don't count out the Bengals tonight with 6
I'm not.
I'm taking the Bengals, actually. Maybe not to win the game, but I certainly think they're going to cover this one. Joe Burrow's 12-3 against the spread as an underdog of at least 3 points, 16-3 when you include the playoffs as well. So I definitely think in these type of situations, I think you could potentially toss a little money line sprinkle in there, but at minimum, take the points. I do think ultimately the Ravens win this one. They are just so good. Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, it's just unbelievable how well this team has. You kind of knew it was going to happen, but to this level is just insane how well these two have complemented each other, how unstoppable this offense has become. But I do think Burrow's going to do his work tonight. I do think this game will stay within a field goal. So ultimately, I'm taking the Bengals, even though I do like the over-under as well. I'll take the Bengals with the 6. I'll take the Ravens to win the game ultimately, but I don't think they're going to cover 6 points. What's your take on this one, Truth?
I'm hitting the over, and I'm also taking the Bengals, and I'm not sure who's going to win the game. I guess gun to my head, I'd probably say the Ravens, but I wouldn't be shocked to see the Bengals pull this one out. I think the Ravens are better. The only thing that's giving me pause is that the Bengals just really need it a lot more.
Yeah, the hungrier dog runs faster type of argument.
But the Ravens have looked pretty hungry all year, though. So I don't know.
They really have. We talked about. I think that was the narrative that led us to taking the Rams just a couple weeks ago. They were 2-5 coming off the bye, And it was one of those situations. If they lose this one, we're going to be trading away Cooper Kupp, or, and they kept the band together. They rallied the troops. And ultimately, the hungry dog running faster narrative worked out there. And ultimately, that might happen for the Bengals tonight. At minimum, again, I do think they cover the spread. In my confidence pool, those type of things, I am going Ravens. But it's going to be closer than people think. And I think we're going to get a fun one with that over-under for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I got nobody going fantasy-wise tonight, so I'm just watching it for the football.
Oh, man, I've got Chase Brown. I've got Justin Tucker. Might be up against Jamar Chase, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, nice.
So I got some fireworks tonight. It's going to be a fun one, no doubt.
All right, well, let's get into the questions, and we'll see if we get a bigger crowd in here. Might get a bigger mailbag at some point. If not, we'll be out of here plenty of time before the kickoff. But before we get into it, give us a like. We've been growing. The subscriber pool has been growing. I've noticed every time I've checked in recently.
Yeah, over 4,300, cruising towards 5K. Would love you guys to keep helping us out, keep adding people here. Whether you're on Twitter, that heart button, whether you're on YouTube, the thumbs up. We've had a couple Thursdays in a row where we've hit like 1K live. On Sunday Truth, we hit over 2,000 live people, which was unbelievable. Setting the record over there. So please help us out. We'd love to keep having these massive shows. It is weird. It's like this. You'd think this would be the show where everybody shows up. It's the biggest day of the year, but it's like the Saints Broncos, which will post the numbers for the good folks out there. But hey, maybe we'll get this one rolling.
I feel like we had some lousy game and you and me drew like 1,700 people. So we'll see what happens.
It was literally I think it was the Broncos Saints coming.
I thought you were just picking two bad teams at random, but it really was them.
It really was.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Hopefully some more people will show up. Is Mike Gesicki a must start tonight with T. Higgins out? So the short answer would be yes, but give us some stats on that.
Yeah, the big news for the night tonight is T. Higgins is out. Isaiah Likely's also out, which will feed our next must-start type of question and answer. And then Khalil Herbert's playing tonight, so we're going to kind of work through all that news in the form of these questions. So starting with Gesicki, 4 games without T. Higgins out are absolutely insane numbers here for Mike Gesicki. He's averaging 15.1 points per game on just 51% route share. He's just putting up massive games, even though he's only playing half the time. That's because he sees a whopping 31% targets per route run. That would be elite for like Jefferson, for Jamar Chase. But Mike Gesicki, of all people, is commanding a 31% target per route run, which is absolutely insane. As a whole, he has averages in these games 20% target share and 25% air yard share. He runs a lot of vertical routes. He gets deep. He has a big red zone body as well. We saw it just last week, 27 fantasy points. He had 6 targets, 5 catches, 100 yards, and 2 scores, one of them being in a very impressive 47-yard catch and run, another an acrobatic end zone toe tap and grab. The guy has some real talent, and whenever T. Higgins is out, he becomes that kind of big-bodied number 2 receiver for this team. So I am very intrigued to see what Mike Gesicki does. The matchup is also a top 10 spot here against Baltimore, one of the worst, giving up the most passing yards in the league. I think Burrow cooks. I think Gesicki cooks. He is my tight end 7 on the week, so very, very close to a must start. There's only 6 guys I'd rather have in my lineup. So yeah, I'm +3 ECR on Gesicki. I think he lights it up tonight yet again, given T. Higgins' absence.
I don't see any reason to disagree with that. Let's say the one thing you said, there's only 6 guys you'd rather have in your lineup. Quick question, is one of them going to be Mark Andrews, which is question number 2, with Isaiah Likely out? I'll bet it is one of the 6 you'd rather have.
He actually is not. He's number 8.
Really?
He's right below Mike Gesicki. And that's a tough question. Which one would you rather play, Gesicki versus Mark Andrews? Both of them have a lot going for them. And like you said, you kind of were leaning Mark Andrews there. I have a hard time arguing that you're wrong. I do prefer Gesicki, just like I think there's a little more upside to him. Although Mark Andrews is right in the role with no Isaiah Likely, that we saw him as Lamar Jackson's just main vein in the passing game. But this time you got Zay Flowers there. Now Deontay Johnson's been traded for. There's a lot more mouths to feed compared to those situations where Mark Andrews was the clear-cut number 1 tight end. But even still, I'm a big fan of Andrews tonight. We have Isaiah Likely. He has led this team in red zone targets. He's led this team in end zone targets. And now you remove that, and it seems pretty natural those would flow to Andrews. We're actually already seeing that type of flow where Andrews has seen 8 red zone targets, 3 end zone targets, and ultimately racked up 4 touchdowns across his last 4 weeks. He's slowly been taking this role back over from Isaiah Likely these past few games. The Bengals are giving up the 7th most points to tight ends. And just a few weeks ago, week 5, the Ravens faced the Bengals. We had Isaiah Likely score 14.8 points. We had a creature named Charlie Kohler score 14 points. And Andrews himself had 7.5 there. Now you remove at least the biggest mouth from that equation that's contending with Mark Andrews. I think there is 15 to 20 point upside here for Marky Mark tonight. Great DraftKings play as well. Very underpriced in those type of showdown formats. I think he's going to have himself a monster day. I'm also +3 ECR on Mark Andrews, ranking him as my tight end 8 on the week.
We do have a super chat to get to in just a second, but I just wanted to ask you a kind of question about the Andrews Likely situation. It's interesting, Likely what are you saying, leading the team in the red zone targets and the end zone targets and all that stuff. And certainly has had a big week or two. And at the same time, somehow has remained completely unplayable.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't put the guy in your lineup. I mean,
No.
he's probably like the tight end 5 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane what this guy has been doing. Just like 30 points in week 1, nothing for a 5-week stretch. You bench him and suddenly he'll have another. He's unrosterable at this point, honestly. I've cut him anywhere. I had Isaiah Likely. And we've seen Andrews slowly trickling up now. Last week, only 50% route share. The week before, though, 75% route share. I think that's much closer to what we can expect. And he had a very solid 3-week stretch before last week's dud. I think he's right back onto your starting radar here for Mark Andrews. Again, big fan of both of these guys, Gesicki versus Andrews. I had them both for whatever reason. I would probably go Gesicki, but again, it's a very tough call. I wouldn't fault anyone if they decide to roll out Big Andrews, given his historic track record, given the setup for him. But this is definitely great options either way. But yeah,
I would lean Andrews. I would lean Andrews.
Okay.
Manny, thanks for throwing us a couple bucks. We appreciate it. Sorry, it took us a couple minutes. We were talking through the Andrews Likely tight end situation. He says, tight end question, Gesicki or Taysom Hill? Also, he's got a flex question, Chase Brown or Tracy?
Great questions, Manny. And thank you again. You're regularly super chatting the boys. It's so appreciated. Does not go unnoticed. And anybody else out there, you want to jump the line? That is a free way, or not freeway. That's the way to do it, though.
It's the opposite of
opposite of free. The free way to help your boys is that thumbs up button, though. And I would love to have your help, given it does seem like a lighter crowd so far tonight. Hey, whatever. We're happy to have you, whoever's here. You guys are the best. Thank you again so much for being here. Now, I would go Gesicki over Taysom Hill. I like both these options. I have Taysom Hill. Believe he's my tight end 9, right below Gesicki, then Andrews, then Taysom Hill. I think these are all awesome options. I talked about both these guys on this week's waiver wire show. So if you want to double check that one out, Manny, I have a bunch of stats there. But we did have Taysom Hill, 49% route share, 16% target share, 16 fantasy points on the day. One of those rare guys that could rush for a touchdown, throw for a touchdown, and receive a touchdown. And now that Olave is knocked out, we got all the backup running backs out there too. They need another weapon to lean on, and it seems like Taysom Hill is going to be that guy. So he's also a very good play. Gets Atlanta this week, not a scary matchup by any means. So I really do like Taysom Hill, but I just still love Gesicki tonight for all those reasons we mentioned. If you got here a little late, Manny, just to reiterate, 31% targets per route run without T. Higgins in the lineup, averaging 15 fantasy points per game in full PPR settings, fresh off a 27-point day in a great matchup against the Ravens. Gesicki is the more likely to just disappear on you, though. He's all right, all these great stats.
Say that exact same thing.
Yeah. If one of these guys just disappeared and had 0.8 on you, it would be Gesicki. Taysom Hill's going to get his 8 to 10 to 15 even touches this week. I just still feel great about Gesicki in this matchup. The 52.5 over-under that I think is going to get beat. I think Gesicki is going to be a big part of that. So I do go Gesicki very slightly over Taysom Hill, while acknowledging that Taysom Hill is a little safer. I still want to go Gesicki in this case. What about you, Truth?
I would agree. I would tend to lean Gesicki. I mean, because of all the reasons you talked about with T. Higgins being out and stuff like that. I mean, the Saints just really worry me. Although I agree, Taysom Hill is going to get a bunch of touches. I mean, like we said, I basically have gotten 2 predictions really right this year. One was that Chris Olave was going to be a huge disappointment, and one was that the Saints were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I've been right on both of those, so I'm really hesitant to go all in on anybody on the Saints. So I would lean Gesicki, although I don't consider Hill to be a crazy call either.
I know I did. I actually had Dennis Allen as the first coach to get fired this year. Sadly, Robert Saleh beat him to the punch, unfortunately. But Dennis Allen did not waste too much time getting fired himself as well. In terms of that flex question, Chase Brown versus Tracy, very, very tough one. We're going to talk about Chase Brown. I guess this can lead into the Chase Brown question. But just to answer it for you, Manny, I know you probably listen anyways to the Chase Brown analysis. Is he a must play, or how scared should we be of this matchup? Why don't we dive in and I'll kind of compare him to Tracy while I do this analysis. So Chase Brown, how worried should we be, Truth? Let's dive in. You just look at what he did last week. He had 79% snap share. You had 93% rush share, 63% route share, 14% target share, 26.7 fantasy points, 32 total touches for 157 yards on the day. Every single running back opportunity, every single running back touch went to Chase Brown. It was an absolute phenomenal usage, production, however you want to look at it. Chase Brown thrived. Now we get the Ravens, though, a 7th worst matchup for running backs. They're allowing the 2nd fewest rush yards per game in the league. Seems a little scary, but I still look at this and I say, okay, Rachaad White just 2 weeks ago had 26 points. Bucky Irving had 15. Hell, Chase Brown just a few weeks ago in a split backfield had 15 points against this defense. So I really, really like the volume. I love Chase Brown and what he's doing. And then I also look at, for that question we got. So the short answer is, should we be worried about the matchup? Really, no. I think the volume, the snap share, all that. Khalil Herbert is expected to be active. We're going to talk about him in a second, but he's only been on the team for 2 days. I think this will be the Chase Brown show for all intents and purposes. I think he's a must start in nearly every single situation. That being said, though, against a guy like Tyrone Tracy, who is similarly seeing nearly every running back touch in his backfield, every carry, much worse offense, but he is facing this weekend the New York Giants, and no team is allowing more points to the running back position. Running backs average nearly 7 more points per game against the Carolina Panthers. I got to go with the matchup in this one because it's a very similar workload. Obviously, the offensive differences are very, very blatant here between the Giants and the Bengals. But when you're facing the Carolina Panthers, it does not matter what your offense overall is. They are so bad against the run that I think Tyrone Tracy has to be the play there. I'm looking at my rankings. I do have Chase Brown at 16 and Tyrone Tracy at 17. I am definitely going to be switching that up as we speak here. But I do prefer Tracy very, very slightly over Chase Brown. What about you, Drew? That's a very tough one.
I think it's a really tough one. I mean, my instincts all say Chase Brown. I feel like he's a must start and everything. The Tracy, I mean, it's funny. Sometimes I think people, you can't ignore the matchup, but sometimes the matchup, that people read too much into it. I mean, it's like, yes, like some teams just get run all over, and maybe you just can't pass up on a matchup like that. So I can see why you might lean Tracy there. I feel like Chase Brown seems like a kind of a better player. If we're going to see like an absolute shootout tonight, I feel like everyone's going to eat, including him. So I don't know. I would probably lean Brown, but it might be idiotic of me because this matchup is just maybe a little too appetizing to pass up on.
I know it really does. It's so tricky because the game environment, the offense as a whole, all that does lean towards Chase Brown. But when you look at the game environment of the Panthers game, 4.5-point favorites, the Giants over there in London, and it does suggest like if they get up early, they give Tracy 20 carries. Just like 2 weeks ago, he had 140 rushing yards against the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty crazy. That's a tough defense to run on, and he went wild. Like there is legitimate 150 to crazy upside to Chase or to Tyrone Tracy. Whereas like Chase Brown, I feel good about him scoring tonight. I think he'll probably rack up 70 to maybe 100 total yards. We'll probably catch a couple passes.
With a score, and that's a real fantasy game, man.
Very good game. I'm not saying that at all. But Tracy's the one that, like, if he went for 150 and 2 touchdowns, like, and just won you your week, a 30-point day that you couldn't be without, like, I don't see that coming from Chase Brown. I think the floor is a little lower with Tyrone Tracy, but the ceiling is that much higher given this.
I agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that. He's the ceiling play.
He is the ceiling play, and to me, the floor is pretty good against Carolina. It is. I mean, he just came off a pretty weak effort. It's not like he's a guarantee. What if he gets hurt again? You know, there's certainly more risk to Tyrone Tracy, but the matchup, I think, mitigates that risk, and I go for the ceiling in
Man,
that.
we do send some teams over to London, don't we?
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to sell them on an American football market, and we give them the Giants and the Panthers. I mean, what are we doing here? Like, how can anybody get excited for that game?
And people show up for it, I think.
Yeah, they'll be in like Bengals jerseys.
Right. Wearing like Seattle Mariners shirts.
Yeah, Blake Bortles and Alan Hearns jerseys in the in the crowd there. Yeah, Mariners.
Man. They really do.
Exactly.
We really do just dump that shit on the Brits. Anyway, we do have another super chat. Anthony, thank you for throwing a couple bucks our way. And it also concerns Mike Gesicki. Gesicki getting a lot of attention. Otten or Gesicki, full PPR, cheers. I know what I think. What do you think, Wolf?
So as much as I do love Gesicki, I mentioned that he's my tight end 7. One of the guys above him is Cade Otten.
You can't not
ever since we called Cade Otten like you ate something, you had a bag of chips, like the injuries around him.
He's been great. Yeah, a lot of it is contingent on the fact that like his whole team's gotten injured. But I mean, this guy is like a legit, top 4 tight end right now, top 3.
He's my tight end 4. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and it's real. It's not even a reach at this point.
No, and Liam Cohen and Bowles have come out and said like he's our number 1 weapon right now. Like they're using him. They're using him in the Chris Godwin role, and he's actually doing it quite well. He's getting the layup targets. He's beating the guys in man coverage. He's making contested catches. I always was just like he ate something type of guy. It's like because he's running routes. He's gets like 5 to 7 targets, but then he ultimately had like 30 yards on him. But like I couldn't have been more wrong in the sense that like he did have another gear to him. He did have another level. It's just when you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin to contend with, it makes sense that you're never going to be leaned upon. But he has really shown like I can be one of those tight ends that you can dink and dunk all up and down the field. He has been that dude, and I am so impressed with what I've seen from him. And even when Mike Evans returns, like I do see him as all the talk of like, is it going to be Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard, who's going to dominate that slot receiver role? It's Cade Otten. Like he is a big-bodied slot receiver. He's obviously no Chris Godwin. I understand that, but he's playing a very similar role to what Chris Godwin was doing, and he can't be on benches. Like he's either locked into your tight end spot, he's forced into your flex spot. If you had like Brock Bauer, it was on bye, so like, he wouldn't matter. But like Trey McBride, I'm trying to think of like who I would rather have than Cade Otten at tight end. Maybe Terry McBride, but that's like a debatable one. Travis Kelce these days seeing like 18 targets. Okay, I gotta put Kelce above him at this point. That might be it. Like he is unbelievable right now.
I mean, maybe Kittle. I don't know, but like,
Kittle's a good one. Kittle deserves to be ahead of him. That's a good call, Truth.
But I would probably put him legit 4th.
He is my tight end 4 this week. I mean, and I couldn't be more confident that he's going to be the tight end 4, if not better. Like he's just been a beast. That's so again, Anthony, like you've heard what we like about Gesicki. 31% targets per hour. We could repeat the stats all night. He is a phenomenal play. He's a top 7 play. It's just that Cade Otten's a top 3 play, top 4 play. Like he's just that much better. It is one of those things, though. Could you squeeze Gesicki like into the? I wonder, who your flex is. He must be pretty good because you could truly consider flexing Mike Gesicki. I am going Evan Ingram and Mike Gesicki in a league. And Hillary against Hillary because my receivers are trash. T. Higgins is hurt. He's one of my main guys, and I just have nothing else to roll with. So I'm starting 2 tight ends. It's funny, Truth, how the year began. Like, tight end is the most barren wasteland. Like, what the hell are we going to do? I'd say there's probably like 10 guys. I was going to say there's 10 guys now that you probably feel okay about starting. Maybe better. Yeah, and like 7 or 8 of them where you're like, I want like 2 of these guys in my lineup. It's really definitely evolved as the year has gone on. Tight end has become a significantly amount deeper.
And let me say something. I can tell you a thing or two about having trash receivers, so don't even.
Yeah.
Let's
Parker Washington, wide receiver 1.
But who?
Yeah, right. Parker Washington, the Jags guy. That's like your number 1 receiver over there.
But the other Jags guy, BTJ, is my number 1 receiver.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. Although he has been a little too boomer busty for me lately.
Tank Dell, I was really counting on a lot. He is.
Hey, last week he got you something for Halloween. He gave you a little Halloween.
He had like 2 good games. Anyway, Manny, again, thanks, Manny. I'll play Tracy. So we've convinced him, or you've convinced him on Tracy. What about at RB2 then? James Conner. Then we got Chase again, and then Najee. What do you think?
Ooh, this is where, so I would go Chase Brown over those guys.
Me too.
I get both Tracy and Chase Brown in my lineup. Connor's very close second here, but I just, those other two are just so explosive in great spots. The thing that's crazy about Chase Brown too is he's having this really solid year. He's having these really solid days. And his whole calling card, though, was how explosive he was supposed to be. His longest reception of the year is just 13 yards. I don't think he's ever hit longest catch is 13 yards, longest run is 30 yards. And we've seen this guy rip like 70-yard touchdowns before. So he's only starting to scratch the surface. Like if he is a big play threat, there's going to be a game where he does rip a 60-yard TD right down the throat of a defense. And so, to be as good as he's being without his calling card even really there, I'm super impressed with Chase Brown. I think he is a baller. I know his pass protection, that's the one issue I have with him. And it does make me nervous is like, if he gets Joe Burrow blown up, like, they'll throw in Khalil Herbert. They'll throw in a big body to keep him. But at least at this point of the year, with Khalil Herbert just arriving, and we saw last week, they put in Brown ahead of Travion Williams. So it's one of those things where he's the every down guy at least for one more week. And I think moving forward, we can feel pretty good about that. But it does transition into the next question pretty well.
All right. Well, question number 4, is Khalil Herbert a worthy stash right now? Well, Wolf kind of touched on his potential value and why he's always going to at least have a spot on the field from time to time. But what do you think? Is he a worthy stash in your opinion?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a huge fan of him. I wrote about him last weekend. I outlined 4 guys I could have seen getting traded that would potentially spike in value, and Khalil Herbert was one of them. Now, I said his ideal spot would have been the Cowboys, which I think it would have too, but I didn't really even think about the Bengals. I think this is a phenomenal one. Now, I don't think he's a starter, whereas if he went to the Cowboys, wouldn't have shocked me if he beat out all the guys there. He's not going to beat out Chase Brown for the starting role here, but in that Zach Moss role at 8 to 15 carries a week, and if something ever happened to Chase Brown, Khalil Herbert could really do some damage. We know Zach Moss is out until at least the playoffs, if not the year. And I just think Khalil Herbert is a better version of Zach Moss. I just don't understand. This guy never got the respect he deserved in Chicago, but you look at the type of underlying metrics he's put up, 15th, 35th, and 14th in PFF rushing grades across his career, 12th last year, 12th in explosive run rate, 9th in missed tackles forced per touch, averages 15.2 points per game in any time. There's 13 total games where he has seen 11 or more carries. And we've seen like 30-point days out of Khalil Herbert when he's gotten the volume. He's really beasted. So in this offense, any handcuff is worthwhile holding on to, but a handcuff that's as explosive as Khalil Herbert as a runner, and even if he doesn't get a full-time role, even just 8 to 10 carries, this guy can do real damage with it. I'm a huge fan of the player. I think it's a perfect offense to land in. I thought the Bengals got an absolute steal to only give up a 7th-round pick to get him. So I love Khalil Herbert. I think he's absolutely worth a stash. If anything happened to Chase Brown tonight, people would be bidding all their fab to go get him. So stash him tonight. If he does nothing, you really want to cut him for somebody else, go for it. That's fine. But I think he should be on every single fantasy bench that you can possibly have tonight. See what happens. And in leagues that allow roster churn, if you want to churn him out after this, go for it. But he's playing tonight. He's going to be active. Maybe we get a big run or two. I don't expect much, though. It's his only second game of the team. He might not even sit the field. And that's okay with me. I'm very intrigued to see what this guy does through his Bengals career for this next stretch run. I really like stashing Khalil Herbert right now.
That's actually a really good point. Put him on the team, see what happens if something happens to Chase Brown. You're always on that, and that's kind of thinking a step ahead. One of those things you end up with unexpectedly really good players a little more frequently. You're doing that constantly, and it can add up. So, yeah, that's a good call. All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we got a light mailbag. We got a light crowd, but there have been plenty of times, look, the Wolf and I have done this for 1,500 to 2,000 people. There have been plenty of episodes. We've been doing this for a long time. We've done this for like 15 people before. And we still do it, and we still enjoy your questions.
Dude, we used to have like 5 people those early days. Like, like Seamus would tune in, and
we appreciated them. Yeah, and we appreciate you guys that are here tonight.
Hey, only 120 of you right now. It is. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. Like, I wish I understood the analytics better. Why a Broncos New Orleans one goes bananas, this one only gets 120. But hey, we've had much better showings, and yet we've got all of you guys that are here asking phenomenal questions. It makes no difference to us. The views, the metrics, and obviously, it does. We'd obviously love to have more people. We'd love to keep growing the channel. But the fact that any of you, 100 years still showing up, whatever. Like that's sweet with me. Let's do it.
Thanks for showing up. William says, drop Dak for a running back stash like Braylon Allen, Corum, or Benson. I have Herbert and May as my other quarterbacks. I mean, I certainly would. I dropped Dak a couple weeks ago anyway, just because I dropped him. I picked up Matt Stafford as a backup just because I saw more upside from him. I just didn't see it. And now, all the more reason. There's no reason. You have Herbert and May as your other quarterbacks already. You're already carrying two guys. There's no reason to hang on to them, in my opinion.
No reason at all at any leagues to hold on to Dak. Even if there was no injury, he was potentially cuttable. But now that he's going to be out for at least 4 weeks, I mean, that brings you to the fantasy playoffs. Are you really going to start a returning Dak Prescott who might not even come back in a lost year?
He says the only thing he says in his next thing, I'm worried because Dak has a good playoff schedule. But like the Wolf was just saying, there's no real guarantee this guy's coming back. I mean, the Cowboys are cooked. They're finished. You might not bring him back anyway. And like I said, I cut him before he got hurt.
Yeah, exactly. There was no reason to really be hanging on to him anyways. The playoff schedule is nice. I'd love to attack that through CeeDee Lamb if I could buy low. I think him and Cooper Rush could be fine. He averaged a 31% target share in their games together. But yeah, I would much rather have a Braylon Allen, a Corum, because you're giving yourself 4 weeks of a dead spot for Dak that might end up being a season-long dead spot. Whereas, Braylon Allen has a phenomenal playoff schedule. If something happened to Breece Hall, we'll be talking about him as a top 12 rest of the season running back. There is no reason to cost yourself a shot at that for holding Dak Prescott, who's had a horrendous year, just for a hypothetical playoff schedule that he might not even be playing for. I see no reason to hang on to him. I would absolutely cut him. I would go for Braylon Allen first. I'd go for any of these two running backs over Dak Prescott at this point. But certainly Braylon Allen, I would say, would be my top pick up there.
I agree 100%. M-Dog. Hey, Wolf, how's Tricks? What do you think of Flowers over under tonight, 63.5 yards? I love it personally.
Yeah, I see a situation, again, 52.5 over under. Flowers is game flow dependent, all the Ravens' entire offense is. When they can just bleed the clock with Henry all night, they will. I do not think the Bengals present a game where you can just bleed it against them. They're going to be solid. I think Zay Flowers in a back and forth game. I like 63.5, absolutely. He might have the thing with him is he'll have 150 yards in the first half and then not catch a single ball in the second half. You're like, damn, if you could just put together two halves, you might be the best player in fantasy. But
it's true. I mean, he could get 2 for 15, but he could also have 130 yards and a couple scores.
Yeah, he's not the main guy I'm going after in terms of prop betting, in terms of DraftKings lineups. But 63.5 feels like a very reasonable number. I am more interested to know what is Gesicki's yards, what is Gesicki's touchdown odds. I'm kind of leaning into the tight ends tonight.
Am I crazy to put Burton in? Where is this?
Right here. Am I crazy to put Burton in at flex?
Yeah, I don't even have that on my list. I don't even have that comment. Okay.
Right.
Am I crazy to put Burton in at flex? Who are your other options, man?
I think you're definitely crazy to put Burton in.
It seems nuts.
I really have no issue with rostering him, Ferns. This is the type of defense, big play. They're giving up, I think, the most 10, 20-plus yard pass plays in the league. Explosive pass rate against them is as high as it gets. That's right in Burton's wheelhouse. But we've got a guy that, healthy and active last week because he showed up late to team meetings. I know Joe Burrow has talked on record, but I want to get this guy more involved. He's super talented, and I believe that he's super talented. Anywhere he's gone, Alabama or Georgia, he's carved out a very meaningful role. If he had none of the off-field concerns, I think Burton would have been a fringe first-round receiver. He's got that type of ability, that type of talent. The dude cannot screw his head on straight. So could he blow up tonight? There's a very small chance. It is a big play guy against a big play, generous defense at giving up big plays. But I would not trust that at my flex. No way. I guess, for instance, it depends who your other options are. I've seen 32-team leagues where people are starting if you're starting to hammer leagues. Yeah, I've seen a few of those. It's crazy. I'm not in one myself. Wow. 16 is my biggest, but I've had some DMs where it's maybe Burton is worth a flex flyer because the other option is Turpin from the.
That's when you're rolling out Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly it. If you're going Lil Jordan Humphrey or Jermaine Burton, go for the big play. I can totally see that. I actually love him in DraftKings tonight on when you're making those showdown lineups at 2,000. Go for a cheap type of big play. I think he's great in those situations, but in terms of putting him in my actual fantasy lineup in a normal league, I think you'd have to be nuts. I mean, Ferns, hey, if you get the big play, you'd look like a genius. You could talk trash all weekend. That would be beautiful. But I could not take that dice roll. I don't mind stashing him, though. I think he has a good name. We didn't really talk about Jermaine Burton, but if I was going to like pull out a deep sleeper that I want to toss out there for those deep leagues to stash on the bench, I am very intrigued by the kid. I think he's got tons of talent. He's just got to get his head screwed on straight, and I don't think that's a guarantee that he does. He never has anywhere he's been. So I do like the stash, don't like the stream.
My head is just spinning thinking about a 32-team fantasy league.
Yeah, that would be crazy. We could probably put it together at RSJ. I think we have enough people.
We could probably do it. I mean,
do we want to, though, is the question.
Yeah, right. Like, do we want – I mean, think about how many guys in our lineups aren't going to produce every week and how –
I know. I'm in a 16-team where it's brutal. Like, I can't even imagine doubling the size of that.
Doubling.
Yeah.
And imagine waivers. Oh, God.
Nobody. Yeah, Jermaine Burton.
Giuseppe says, Wolf, I need help. I already have Daniels. I got offered JT for my Lamar straight up. Should I take this deal or go for Kamara PPR?
Oh, that's a pretty good question. I would rather have Kamara in full PPR, especially with Olave banged up. I mean, what did he have? Like 10 catches, 200 yards on the ground last week. The guy is having a season for the ages. He's a great fit for the zone scheme that they've implemented. He is the number one target there right now. If you can push it to Kamara, I would push it to Kamara. JT for Lamar is not a bad offer, especially when you already have Daniels. It's like, okay, I see that. You're upgrading your running backs humongously. Lamar is still the best player in fantasy, though. Like, I think you could continue to push for more.
Do you think Lamar is the best player in fantasy?
Who do you think's better?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I guess his teammate isn't too far off either. Saquon Barkley's, you can make the case for as well. But certainly the best quarterback is Lamar. But I guess Daniels would be if I was ranking him.
Daniels he's comparable. He's comparable at least. I agree Jackson's better, but Daniels
I'd probably pull this trigger. And I do know JT has a nice playoff schedule too. I would try to push for Kamara if you could, especially in full PPR. JT doesn't really benefit from that. But I still like JT. So I would ultimately probably do this deal, Giuseppe, but I'd see if I could get Kamara, yes.
Papa Sarno, what's up, boys? Half PPR, assuming Nico is out. Do I start Wandale or Worthy?
I think I'm going Wandale against the Panthers there. Worthy is just, again, you're going to bench him. He's going to have his 70-yard touchdown. You're going to be pissed. You're going to put him in. He's going to have 3 points. -1 last week. I just can't deal with it. It's such a pain in the ass. I'm so mad because it's so exciting that first week. I was like, all right, we got ourselves something here. And now that Hopkins is there, it's like he's the polar opposite, like in terms of, skill set, in terms of speed, but also in terms of reliability. Like, why would I go away from Hopkins, who's going to catch everything thrown his way, who's going to get open at will against man coverage? It's just Worthy's. If you get the big play, great. If you don't, he's nothing. And I don't want that in my lineups. Wandale, I'll take the 18 targets. Like, they might be 1 yard a pop, but I'll take the 18 targets.
To me, it's Wandale, and it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Papa Sarno again. Half PPR again, assuming Nico is out. I need one wide receiver and a flex between Marvin Harrison Jr., Jennings, Downs, and Tracy. So one wide receiver, one flex between that group. What do you think?
I would go definitely going Tracy. He's my favorite to lock in here. And then for the receivers.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I know.
I agree with you. It's just, that's crazy.
Marv Harrison's been so boom or bust. Now he gets the Jets. I don't want to trust that. I'm going to go Josh Downs. And I know last week was down for the entire game, but with Flacco entering last week, he averaged 19.2 points per game. I think even with that game, he's still right around 17 points per game with Joe Flacco on the year. And, against the Bills, it's not the best matchup by any means, but they probably will need to comeback mode. I lean Downs here. I just don't trust Harrison at all against the Jets. I really just don't trust him in general, but certainly not in bad matchups. So I'm going to go Downs and Tracy. What about you?
The only one I feel fairly confident about is Tracy. The Downs Flacco numbers that you've given are real. Obviously, last week it didn't really happen, so that was a little bit discouraging. I want to say Harrison, but I think I'd probably lean Downs again. Now, if Downs doesn't do anything again, that I might be ready to write him off.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, guys, as we continue to mow through, Again, we love that 100 of it you saw over here. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's this low.
I feel like some must have gone out wrong or something.
Yeah, probably. But you guys can help out by sharing, by liking, by retweeting. We love doing these shows, but it would be really nice to get out to at least half of our usual audience. So please do us a solid. Hit that thumbs up wherever you're watching, that heart button wherever you're watching, a share, a retweet. Something must have gone wrong. I don't know what it is, but it is discouraging. Again, happy to have anybody here, but still, like you go from 1,000 to 100 in a week, something's up. I don't know what that is, but
I feel like it just must have been like some sort of like technical issue because like our followers are pretty consistent showing up.
Yeah.
All right. Eric says, "What's up, big man? Big questions this week. Quarterback: Cousins, Murray, Herbert. Running back, pick 2: Hall, Dobbins, Stevenson." Okay, who you got at quarterback here?
I like Cousins a lot. He's been cooking lately. Saints defense has been just absolutely abysmal, and they traded away Marshawn Lattimore. So wheels up for Falcons. I think Cousins bombs them. In terms of the 2 running backs I would play, I do keep locking in Hall. I know it's been frustrating, but the usage has been really solid.
Yeah.
It will turn a corner for him. And Arizona is a joke of a matchup. So I'm playing Breece Hall there. You're frustrated with the guy, though, I can tell.
I mean, I'm frustrated with him, and yet he still is putting up pretty good numbers and getting used pretty well. The thing that frustrated me the most with him last week was he's a good receiver out of the backfield, and they never threw to him at all. Like, I mean, maybe like once. I mean, they ran his yards per carry, I believe, was pretty good. He never went into the end zone, but I thought he was going to really eat on like underneath routes. The Texans get to Rodgers quickly, and he dumps it off to Breece Hall, and that never happened.
Yeah, he did have a very efficient night. You're right. The lack of passing game was a concern. I think it was 180 of the yards of the 210 that Rodgers threw to went to just Adams and Garrett Wilson. So there was nothing really left, just scraps on the bone there, and Hall did not end up getting much of it. But so far, he has been very involved as a pass catcher. So I think that's more of the anomaly.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm a little frustrated just because he hasn't been like lights out awesome, but I mean, he's been good.
He is very good. I think I'm benching actually weirdly Dobbins here. I know a lot of people, Tennessee, Ramondre's been back to a featured role, especially when the game is tight here. He's getting every meaningful goal line look. He is getting worked in as the receiver more. Antonio Gibson's not even sniffing the field anymore. So we got like Ramondre in a really big, just massive role here. So I think I'm leaning Ramondre and Breece Hall for mine. Dobbins coming off a huge week, though. I have Dobbins and Ramondre neck and neck. So that's a really tricky one. I don't blame you for either which way you go. I do definitely play Breece Hall either way, though, is how I would lean.
I would lean Dobbins over Stevenson, but it's close for me also. I would definitely play Hall.
Very fair. And they should be running the ball down the Titans' throat with a big lead is kind of how I see that game going.
All right, Eric also says wide receiver, pick 1, Jennings or Williams. Tight end, I have Otten or Ingram. So flex, one of the tight ends, or Stevenson or Jay Williams.
I am gonna go. I'm gonna go JMO. I don't know, because Jennings, I mean, you look at week 3, 46.5 points. We haven't seen what that role is going to be with no Ayuk, but like that's tough to turn down. 2.75 yards per route run. The guy's been very efficient when used. And I just look at it, though, like Christian McCaffrey likely to come back this weekend. The definition of a volume sponge. I mean, that's the guy you build your offense around. So you get him in there. You have Kittle. You have Debo. How much is left when you have those big 3 mouths to feed for Jennings? So it seems like you're going to be relying on a big play from either of these guys to pan out. I'll go with the JMO big play. He's been really, he's definitely boom or bust, and the busts have been brutal. But against Houston, that's a bad secondary. We just saw, again, Adams and Garrett Wilson have huge days against them. So I could see JMO coming back from the suspension fired up. I'd go JMO there.
Okay. I hear that.
Yeah. In terms of tight end, I'm going Otten over Ingram, and I would go for the flex, I would go Stevenson over Ingram.
I would go Stevenson in that instance.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Bulldog, good to see you, brother. Let's hit that like. Hit that like.
Wolfpack, hit the like button. Yeah, hit it. We don't know what's going on this week, but we're still happy you guys are here. Giuseppe, start Lamar or Daniels, LOL. I would start Lamar.
Lamar every single time, yeah.
Giuseppe says Ferguson or Henry. First time I read that, I thought he meant Derrick Henry, and I was just like, he's trolling us. But he doesn't do that. Then I realized who he was talking about. What do you think?
Yeah, 100. Derrick Henry or Jake Ferguson? Go Ferguson.
Oh, I thought it was an odd question.
I would go Jake Ferguson. I know Cooper Rush is a little concerned, but he was dinking and dunking down the field to Jake Ferguson. So I do go him slightly over Henry, but it is very close.
All right, Noah says, should I trade Taylor and Monty for Kyron and Najee?
No.
I wouldn't.
I'd rather have Taylor and Monty, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Randy said, what are your thoughts on Jermaine Burton? We just talked a ton about Jermaine Burton, actually. Could be breakout tonight and or offer value rest of season. Wolf did get into Jermaine Burton a lot more than I was expecting anybody to, but there are a few Jermaine Burton questions. You want to recap like in 10 seconds what you said, Wolf?
A very big play threat against a defense that's given up big plays at the highest rate in the league. If he's going to break out, this is the week to do it. There's no doubt about it. And I do think the guy has real talent. I do think there's a role for him if he can show that he can be consistent and dependable for this team. He's just never proven he can be consistent and dependable anywhere in his career, even though he's also had huge flashes everywhere he's been to. I am very intrigued by him, Randy. If you have the bench trash to cut, you have the space for him, I think he's well worth the stash. Let's see what he does. Yes.
All right. Reginelli says, what's up, Bella? Should I start Mike G? I'll summarize the Wolf's position. I think he has him as his tight end 7. Is that right?
That's it.
All right. Yeah. I mean, if you got the few of the big guys, then no. Although maybe look for a spot in your flex. But yeah, he likes him more than most.
Yeah, he's a must play in my opinion. And very, very. Other than we got like a Cade Otton versus Gesicki. There are again 6 tight ends I'd rather have than him, but there's a very good chance Gesicki is getting tossed in the lineups where you have him. So I would like to get Gesicki in there. 15.1 points per game without T. Higgins. 31% targets per route run. 27 points last week. There's a huge ceiling. And I guess I shouldn't say decent floor because he can disappear at any given moment. But yeah, I like playing him.
I agree. Charlie, great to see you again, Truth. Thanks, Charlie. And Wolf, I'd recognize that beautiful yellow can anywhere. Cheers.
Hey, in that queue, I might have to go grab another beautiful yellow can and let's help out Campanelli while I do.
All right, Dave Campanelli. Who do you bring back to cut who do you cut to bring back CMC? Bigsby, Dobbs, Braylon Allen, or Bucky Irving? Interesting question. The CMC thing, people have obviously been waiting 10 plus weeks for this now. And he's coming back. And obviously, if you've got him stashed in your IR, which everybody does, or one person in every league does, you're bringing him back. You got to drop somebody. Wolf, who would you drop? Bigsby, Dobbs, Braylon Allen, Bucky Irving.
Very tough call. A lot of viable reasons to keep any of these guys here, Campanelli. It does depend, like how bad do you need Dobbs? Because I do think all the running backs have nice paths to real ceilings. I weirdly think Bigsby might be the most cuttable here. Like Etienne's back, and we just saw it. He's a very game flow dependent back on a team that's very rarely going to set him up in the right game script for his skill set to be used when Etienne's healthy. And even when Etienne was out, like we had one really good game against the Patriots. They're not going to be facing, again, they're very rarely going to be up. When they were down, Dearness Johnson was getting that work. So I weirdly think Bigsby might be the least valuable here. Braylon Allen, obviously, it's truly a pure handcuff, but none of those guys, like, we're talking about the bench. Clearly, you don't have to use any of these guys. So to me, Braylon Allen, when you don't have to use anybody, like, again, the only handcuffs I have ahead of Braylon Allen on the year right now are Ray Davis. I think he is the number one, like, running back stash right now. I think Khalil Herbert's up there, though, Campanelli. I would cut Bigsby and maybe even Dobbs for Khalil Herbert if he's out there in your league. And I would also make sure to get Ray Davis if he's out there, too. But I think Bigsby's the cut for me. I don't know. I think I'm on the minority there, too. I think a lot of people have Bigsby higher than any of these guys. But
No, not me. To me, it's clearly between Bigsby and Dobbs.
Yeah. Like, Bucky's tricky because – he's in a pretty tough situation right now. Rachaad White and now Sean Tucker's mixing in a little bit here.
What kind of produces, though?
He's so talented. Like, he's so
produces.
If something happens to Rachaad White or Tucker goes away a little bit more, Bucky's just so damn efficient, so I can't cut him.
He's still a startable running back, even as frustrating as it is, in like a three-headed backfield. It really is.
Yeah.
Campanelli, follow-up, bench one, full PPR. Mara, Chase Brown, Pollard, CMC. Well, you're not benching CMC if he's coming back.
No, you're not.
You're not benching Kamara.
No.
PPR.
Yeah, Campanelli, come on. Why were you asking this? You know how to ask
man?
better questions. You're not asking about Kamara. I guess I could see asking about CMC. It's his first game back. Are we worried?
No, come on. You're not. You've been waiting 10 weeks.
You're putting him in.
If he's on, you're putting him out there.
Yeah, it's Pollard for me, the easy bench here. In fact, one of the better sell highs, in my opinion. Tajay Spears likely to come back. He's been getting absolutely fed. But to me, he's the clear distant fourth. And I like Pollard. He's still a top 20 running back, but I would much Kamara's a top 3 running back. CMC may be the best running back in fantasy once we get him here. And you're like you said, you're not waiting 10 weeks to not play him. What if it flares up this week? At least you got to have him in your lineup one time this year. You're playing CMC. And then Chase Brown's in a great spot today, too. So I'm going to play Pollard on the bench there is where I sent him packing.
All right. Bulldog says he's got a time-sensitive one. What's up, guys? Should I drop Deontay for Leggett? I have to do it before the game.
I would. Yeah, I don't see Deontay coming into any – I think he's going to be a great real-life player for the Ravens, but there's been reports that he's behind Rashad Bateman in their eyes. Like he's just more of a depth piece. And they run 3 receiver sets at the lowest rate in the league. That might change tonight when you have, likely banged up, but I just think Leggett, who has 4 touchdowns in the last 6 games, like he's the clearer number 1 on his team, whereas Johnson, maybe a 2, maybe a 5. Like just a lot. As much as I like the player, the draft capital is near nothing to get him. And so there's really not a guarantee that he carves out a meaningful role at any point this year, whereas Leggett seems to be trending towards the number 1 receiver. So I go Leggett over Deontay, yes.
Yep, agree. Giuseppe again says, I can never pronounce this guy's name, so do it for me.
Yoshi.
Okay. Start Yoshi, Singletary, or Freiermuth flex, half PPR.
Ugh, Giuseppe.
I know. Come on, man.
Giuseppe, what are we doing here? I don't have like a
buzz. What's going on?
I don't know here. I don't like any of these guys. I guess I lean. I mean, Yoshi's probably the best bet for a touchdown, but he could be a pure 0. Whereas Singletary,
you could get a bagel for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of this is a good time to reevaluate my sleepers for the week. Is DeMarcus Robinson out there? Maybe Alec Pierce for a deep ball. That's pretty rough. Sterling Shepard in the slot there could be a guy.
In that depleted Bucks receiving core, you could do worse than Sterling Shepard.
I'd rather have him than any of these 3. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right. Charlie, thoughts on Keaton Mitchell back in action? Do you have any thoughts on that, Wolf?
Oh, is he active tonight? I didn't realize that. Is that official? I'm very excited.
Maybe he's saying, do you think he'll be? I don't know.
I don't know if that's official yet. That's something to definitely double check. Keaton Mitchell, Thursday Night Football. Not that you're going to play him there or anything like that. They activated him for Thursday Night Football. I'm so happy you tossed him out here, Charlie. I think he's absolutely worth the bench stash. In fact, I'm probably going to have to make sure to sign up a little early to go get him.
Yeah, we probably will be able to get off a little early for you to do that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think he's well worth a stash. Only Achane was more efficient per touch. The dude is so explosive. Now, obviously, the big difference this year is Derrick Henry's there, but he could be a phenomenal lightning complement. Justice Hill's been playing really well. He got himself a nice contract. The team loves Justice Hill. So I do think there's a very real chance Mitchell's a 0 all year. But his speed, his explosivity, his ability to run 60-yard touchdowns, there's very few backs that can do that. We don't know that that's still him because he's coming off of the injury. We haven't seen him play yet, but I think it's worth a stash on there, see what he does. If he rips off a 70-yard touchdown tonight, everyone's going to be sprinting to go get him. So, yeah, I'm very intrigued, Charlie. Thanks for bringing him up. I did not realize he was activated.
All right, we already answered this question before.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yep.
James O'Hara, a possible relative of Roto Street Journal mainstay MOH.
Father.
I know, I'm being sarcastic.
Okay, I didn't know you realized.
It's possible relative. Start Chase Brown tonight or
relationship.
Start Chase Brown or Jahmyr Gibbs.
I got to go Jahmyr Gibbs, and I love Chase Brown, James.
You gotta go Jahmyr Gibbs.
But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs 70-yard touchdown last time out. I know it's the timeshare with Monty, which Chase Brown is clearly more.
They're both must starts. Him and Monty are both must starts. 100%.
They are. Yep, I fully agree.
Royland, Gesicki tonight or Ferguson? I see Cooper Rush getting him more targets than Dak. I would lean Gesicki on this.
Isn't it sad where we're trying to string narratives where like, oh, Cooper Rush is more productive for my fantasy players than Dak. That's how bad
it is. It is sad and it is real.
It's real. But no, I go Gesicki for sure tonight. Yes.
Yep, me too. Droid, start one, flex one tight end, and start one flex, one tight end, and one quarterback. At flex, JK or Ladd. At tight end, Andrews or Laporta Potty. At QB, Matthew Stafford or Purdy. It's his full PPR. All right, so let's take
I'm going to go.
So real quick, JK or Ladd at the flex.
I'm going to go JK. I'm going to go with the running back there, coming off a 25 touch day, 2 touchdown day. Love JK. He's rolling. Andrews over the porta potty is how I play this one with Isaiah Likely out. I love that name, by the way. I don't know how I haven't thought of that. The porta potty. Good. That's awesome, Jordan. I don't know how I have not come up with that one yet. Well done. Well done.
Hold on. I agree with you on that.
It's so simple, but so funny.
It's right there. It was right there waiting for us.
How have we not heard of that one?
I don't know. We think we're sharp, but every now and then.
That was a great one. But I'm going to go JK, Andrews, and I'm going to go Purdy over Stafford. I know CMC coming back, probably more of the focal point here. I still like that.
There could be passing to CMC, though. I mean,
yeah. Plenty of receiving touchdowns for CMC throughout his career, including from Purdy. Whereas Stafford, like that Miami game could be fun, but they do have a better secondary than a run D. So Stafford's really only had one like really good game this year. There was a while
I texted you when it happened. He had 3 touchdowns the entire season, and then he had 4 that game. So yes, it's fair to say like he's had one good game. But with the pieces there, it is possible. That's
exactly.
why it's just a little bit of a hard call for me. But I think I would lean Purdy as well.
It's when he had his pieces, it finally happened. And even last week, he had Puka for only a quarter, and he still had a solid game against the Seahawks. I do lean Purdy. I do think Stafford's starting to take off here. I like him, but I'm going to go Purdy there.
Dylan says, I'm forced to start one of these waiver running backs, Singletary, Akers, / everyone uglier than that. Go try and trade for one running back before Sunday or play Keaton Mitchell tonight. Full PPR. Any thoughts? These are always really tough for me because, at least in my league, it is really tough to go and find a legitimate trade. So it depends if your league is a bunch of wheelers and dealers. If so, sure, try to make a trade. But like, let's just say right now, Wolf, assuming like a trade is not a legitimate option, would you go Singletary, Akers, or would you roll out Keaton Mitchell tonight?
I wouldn't go Mitchell tonight. I think you want to keep that door open for a trade, whether or not you pull it off. Is yet to be determined, but Keaton Mitchell might not see the field. He's activated, but it might be to return a punt. It might be a kickoff return guy. I don't expect a world where we could actually get a usable, the big play guy. So maybe it is worth just like, hey, I got nothing else. Let me just go for the guy that can score 70-yard touchdowns. I don't see it happening. I would go Singletary if you don't pull off the trade. Gets Carolina for all the reasons we just raved about Tyron Tracy. I love him this week, but we could totally see a maddening just Singletary plunges in for a score to much chagrin of the Tyron Tracy owners like myself get pissed off. But that could also be a game where they're up by 2 scores. Weirdly, very rare situation the Giants could get up big. And Singletary's looked good when he's used. Just Tracy's been way more electric, so he's taken it over. But it can't be Akers. 16 snaps last week. Okay, I get it. He's taking over Chandler, but distant number 2. If I'm going for a distant number 2, I'd go for Singletary against Carolina. I don't know who else is uglier that I could potentially recommend you stream.
I'm sure we could come up with somebody.
I think Singletary is the one here, though, if you need to go with one of these guys. But do try to pull off a trade. And this is one of the weird years where it actually might be more plausible to pull off a running back trade because all the injuries at wide receiver. So if you actually have like a decent wide receiver depth play, I think you could actually move, like get Kareem Hunt. Everybody's all the talk, sell Kareem Hunt high. Well, go get him and use him until Pacheco maybe or maybe doesn't come back, Feed into all the narrative that's out there on the Twitter and podcasts. I'll sell Hunt. Well, I'll go trade a wide receiver 2 for him. Sure. He's rolling. Yeah. So, I didn't even pull off a trade. Go for it.
Riley says Gesicki, Leggett, Juwan Jennings, or McMillan for the flex, full PPR.
Gesicki, baby. Roll it on out.
I agree.
Jennings would be my next one up, but I'm going to go Gesicki there.
Siobhan, got Chase Brown on my bench tonight's game. I have Achane, Tracy, and Hall in the lineup for running back 1 and 2 in flex spots. I sat Monty on the bench too.
Damn.
Thoughts, Wolf?
Sean, these running backs are absurd. My thoughts are You are the type of guy, like you just saw that trade question guy. You got to go find somebody that you can trade one of these guys, even if you have to move Breece Hall. Even if you move your number one guy to get a great wide receiver, you can't have these guys rotting on your bench. This is too good.
You can't have Montgomery on your bench, and I'm not.
Brown on the bench.
I'm not sure he should be on your bench anyway.
Yeah,
with this
I would agree with the three he's picked. Actually, though, as good as Monty is, I pick as safe as Monty is safer than any of these guys. I still think Tracy's ceiling is so huge this weekend. So I'm with you, Shavon or Shaven, however you say this name. I picture it Shavon. I'm going Shavon with this one.
Okay, Shavon.
But I like those three running backs. I honestly play those three over Chase Brown and Monty. But man, you got to do something. You got to get a receiver upgrade or trade one of them for an elite tight end, whatever it might be. Make a move, Shavon. That's too good of a bench there. Definitely some new, even though it's light numbers. I've seen a lot of new names, which I do love to see. And
I feel like something weird must have gone
something
down.
Weird definitely happened. Maybe the report is not reporting the right numbers because we're getting a good amount of questions and a lot of new people. So hey,
no, I mean, I can yes, having to go rapid fire like usual, even though like we have like a tenth as many people.
A third of the view, yeah, not even a third.
Well, it's not a third of the views; it's like 10%.
Yeah,
all right, red and black. Can you guys rank these four tight ends rest of season? Ingram, Otten, Laporta, and then he probably needs to drop Laporta this week. To complicate matters, Goddard is a free agent. If you had to hold two rest of the season, what two? I definitely wouldn't take Goddard over those guys.
No, I wouldn't.
So I wouldn't even worry about that one. What do you think about Ingram, Otten, Laporta rest of the season?
I go Otten, then I go Ingram, then I go Laporta. Christian Kirk out. Ingram's stats are absurd with Christian Kirk out of the lineup. We know Otten. We already talked about him as like the big-bodied Chris Godwin role. You can't cut that. So yeah, Laporta, he sucks this year. He really does.
Yeah,
Laporta pod.
Weird. But we kind of called that he was going to be a disappointment. He was the
bust on the draft guide. He was a bust on our bust episode. We said he was way overpriced, and that was he's way worse than I expected. I expected him to be kind of like last year's Laporta, but just not be worth where he was going. And he's been way worse. I am shocked at how bad he is. But even last week, like no JMO, still doesn't get it done. So I'm cutting Laporta if I have to cut one. I would obviously red and black see. Could you toss Laporta into a deal and make that the piece that pushes something over the edge? He still has name value. But at the end of the day, if you can't, Laporta Potty's the one you cut.
Yeah. I mean, I got Trey McBride for like a third of what Laporta went for.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
And he's the best tight end in fantasy now.
He's who I wanted the whole time anyway. It's one of the rare ones where I got exactly who I wanted.
Yes.
Chase Brown, Tank Dell, or Downs PPR?
I am going to go Chase Brown there. I'm going to ride the running back volume.
Pisses me off, but I am too.
Yeah.
Our cannabis. Evening, guys. I'm starting Kelsey with Otten and Flex, so can only pick two running backs, Hunt, Najee, or Tracy. Who would you start? So pick two out of those. I
go Tracy and Hunt there. I benched Najee. It's crazy. Najee's been really solid, too. I mean, I think he's had 103 straight, like workhorse back. Great player, but I shouldn't say great player. That's an exaggeration. Great fantasy player right now.
Tracy and Hunt. Up his ass.
Yeah. I feel like, Hunt gets the Broncos matchup. Broncos, Hunt's just a guaranteed touchdown.
And the Broncos matchup that just coughed up 41 points.
Yeah, right. That's true. So yeah, I'm going Tracy. I'm going Hunt there of those guys, and I would agree that I'd play both tight ends over Najee, which is nuts, but I would.
It's crazy. The league has turned. Christopher says Kolar is playing tonight.
Yeah. Okay. I guess the second string tight. No, we knew he was playing, Chris. I know we were just saying likely he's not playing. That's the big reason for the Andrews optimism. Kolar. Right. And I did laugh. I kind of scoffed at it. He had 14 points the last time they played. Like Kolar's definitely a guy. I think he's like 600 on DraftKings in those showdown formats. I'm fine tossing him in there in those type of situations as a salary punt, but I don't think it means really much else other than that.
Am I starting Mike G over Kelsey? I would say no.
No. But, Kelsey's in that group. Kelsey might be the number one tight end. I think he had 18. He's either 16 or 18 targets last week. He's back.
He took the first 7 games of the season off, so he's fresh.
He's fresh.
Mike says, also, am I starting JDS or Mahomes? I appreciate y'all. Thank you. We appreciate you being here.
Is JDS Jaden Daniels?
Oh, it's JD5. Yes, it's Jaden Daniels.
Oh, JD5. Yeah. Yeah, you're playing JD5. You're playing Daniels. The only guy that I can confidently say I'd always start over JD5 is Lamar. And even then, it's pretty close. JD 5 every week.
We already answered this question for Nick.
Oh, yeah.
He always says he loves the stream. We appreciate it, Nick.
Hey, thanks for loving the stream. And anybody else that loves the stream, hit that thumbs up, hit the heart button. It's creeping up there. Hey, maybe we'll hit 200.
It is like slowly oozing towards a couple hundred.
Couple hundred, hey, 2,000 on Sunday, 160 on Thursday after a week where we had 13. Who knows? I don't get it. Makes no sense. But hey, you guys are here. You're asking great questions. We're drinking beers. We're having fun. Let's do it. Truth, you haven't had a beer on this. Are you sober these days? Or?
Ish.
I was gonna say, it's been a while. We used to throw them back on the streams.
Yeah, not too much. I don't drink too much like while the kids are like still awake and stuff. It's more like once they go to bed, I might watch some football and have a couple drinks. But yeah, you're seeing a sober Truth at 7:45.
Yeah, that's fair.
That doesn't have to be permanent, but yeah, you're right. You have it. Friends, I'm starting Burton tonight also. Okay.
Hey, best of luck to you guys. Again, I know I laugh. Like, I totally could see a world where it pans out. A big play guy against a defense that gives him up. He might not stick the field, though. That's like a big risk. He really, if he comes in and is just looks dead in the locker room, they might just say, you know what, screw you, sit your ass out. There was a clip, Truth, where like it was a great one where Joe Burrow. They were up by like 3 touchdowns, and Joe Burrow's all pissed off because they didn't score a touchdown on a drive. And Burton was sitting on the bench, and he just walked over. He just said, like, "Get the F out! You don't deserve a spot even on the bench." And like he was pissed off at him. So it's like,
wow.
He also in the same breath was like, "You're so talented that we need you. Stop being an idiot." So yeah, I love stashing Burton. I really do. I think he's if you have bench trash to cut, he could be one of those guys that like has a big night tonight, and okay, maybe we start considering him in the future. You guys have bigger balls than me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's no way I could play this guy tonight. I need to see something out of him before. I've seen a 41-yard catch. I saw him look great. I saw him look awesome this preseason. Let me see him play 60% of the routes, and then okay, now we might talk. But I cannot believe people are starting him. Like, you guys are. I'm starting him in DraftKings. If that's what you mean, you're playing him on your DK showdown lineup. Sure. Yeah, great. You cannot be playing him in season fantasy, again, unless it's like a 32-team league.
Casey White, who is actually my friend Willie.
He is Willie. He was on the waiver wire stream this Tuesday, and he asked one from Casey White and then like the same question from Will. I was like, oh, okay.
Just so you know, that's the same guy. So if he's spamming, you got to put him in timeout.
Send him to timeout, Willie G.
Right. That's slick, Willie. Flex Dowdle or Amari Cooper, half PPR.
It's tough to not play Dowdle after a 70% snap and touch day, 21 points. I know the matchup's not great. Cooper Rush is now the QB, but Amari is just not really existed yet. He's another one of those ones like would love to see it before I trust him. As long as I have a good enough option, I think Dowdle has proven to be a good enough option there.
Okay, that's fair. Crypto Night, like that. Is Trevor Lawrence done? Love the show, boys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Man, we're getting no less engagement than we usually do. So it's
weird.
Something's weird with this. I'm seeing new names and stuff. So anyway, thanks for the question. I'm glad.
I bet you we're getting out to more people and something's like not connected on stream here. Maybe not. Again, who really cares at the end of the day? If we're getting good questions and new people and
it's just
you guys are liking the stream, like whatever, it is what it is.
Because it's been way more than this literally every show, but it's fine. Man, I bet we're getting out to more than we think.
I hope so. But either way, this is solid.
All right, Kryptonite. Is Trevor Lawrence done? Love the show, boys. Yeah.
I mean, certainly done in terms of like, would I ever trust him in fantasy? Yes.
Well, that's the question. That's what I'm answering.
He's also injured, and I think there is like he might be asking like, is he done for the year? I don't know on that front. I haven't seen anything new. But I would never play him. Yeah,
Wolf and I have never been Trevor. We've never been Trevor Lawrence stands.
Never have, and that's never burned us.
We just haven't. All right, Steel 84. In a tough spot with buys, I need one running back: Hill, Herbert, Akers, or Singletary.
I would probably go with Justice Hill here. In these type of games that are shootout style, I know Keith Mitchell being active. That's a little nerve wracking.
But he gets some touches.
Hill, and especially if like let's say the Bengals jump out to an early like 10-0 lead, that's when Derrick Henry does become a little risky. He's going to get his touchdown. He's going to be fine. But that's when you get like a 15-point Derrick Henry night, not a 30-point night. And that's because Justice Hill is siphoning. I mean, we've had nights where he's had 35% of the targets, When you're going this low,
I'm
I
going
think
Hill.
Hill is the type of guy I go after here. Singletary touchdown threat, but Akers and Herbert. I like stashing Herbert. I don't want to play him by any means tonight.
Agree.
All righty.
This is actually a two message one. Do I start Gesicki over Pitts?
Ooh, we're not Pitts guys.
We're not. I mean, he's been significantly better
Yeah.
the second part of this year than he has been ever in his career. And I hate him, and I'm biased against him. So I would lean Gesicki, but Pitts is not a crazy call. What do you think, Wolf?
I'm going Gesicki.
I'm glad. I didn't want to have us be at odds over that.
No, it seems like if Drake London was going to be ruled out, I think we could really strongly consider Pitts. We probably would go Pitts here. It seems like he's going to play, and Pitts has been having these big moments. He still is like,
still just kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't put it into words. I just don't like him. We've never been Pitts guys. It's very rarely burned us. It's burned us a little more than not being Trevor Lawrence guys has. But
he's like a guy that, like, you hated in high school, just was a real dick, and then like in college and maybe like a year out of college, like he just seemed like maybe kind of a better guy, but you still just kind of hated him.
Yeah, and then there's that one night you ran into him at a brewery and you
had a
like
good time
together, and you're like, okay, this guy really isn't so bad. But then 2 weeks later, you see him out at the brewery and he's hammered, he's puking on somebody, he's being a dick. And you're just like, oh yeah, that's why I hated you.
Just like,
right. I thought we were over this stuff.
Right.
I'm that guy, by the way. No. I'm the Kyle Pitts to hang out with.
Maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago, maybe. But hopefully I've come a long way.
Yeah,
Not really.
I'm sure. Charlie, we were so preoccupied with whether we could run a 32-team league. We never stopped to think if we should. Love that. That's a great quote.
I love it. That's great.
Red and black. Who do you guys see as the better flex rest of season? Collins, Neighbors, JK, PPR.
It's always Collins for me. I mean, Nico Collins.
I mean, Nico, if he's playing like he was probably the best receiver in the league.
Absolutely. I rank this exactly how you have it typed out.
Oh, sure.
With the note that like Neighbors has a phenomenal, the Giants pass catchers in general have a phenomenal schedule moving forward. Again, 3 great options, but it's clear like Collins, when he's healthy, I think you rank him inside your top 3 receivers.
I mean, you look at rookie numbers for wide receivers. Neighbors is right up there as high as anybody through like 9 games or whatever has been. And he's only played 7. And he's right in there all time, like right up there with the top guys.
He's awesome.
He's not nothing. Right.
I cannot wait till they get like a first-round quarterback next year and he has a real arm throwing to him. I mean, the fact that he's doing what he's doing with Daniel Jones, it just shows how good this guy is. Like he is going to be unstoppable when he gets an actual quarterback.
It's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would rank them exactly how you typed it out, Red and Black.
Me too. Charlie, Warren or Algier, and that's PPR.
So you got to start one. It's Algier for me.
Algier
Warren,
for me as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go Algier there. Yep. I mean, that's PPR. I don't think either of them. I guess Warren gets a little bit of a boost in PPR, but
I would not really hesitate on the Algier call.
No.
Red and Black, guys, smash the thumbs up. Thank you for reminding me. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I know Crypto Night, we already asked this one, Trevor done, and he's always been done. But I actually don't know if you mean literally like done with an injury. We're not sure on that front.
We're down on him. We'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Gomez, should I start Aaron Jones or Chase Brown? Thanks.
Man, I think I'm going to go Aaron Jones, and I love Chase Brown. But Jaguars matchup, should smash them. Yeah.
Stephen S., you probably covered it, but start Gesicki over McLaurin or McBride. We didn't specifically cover that. We did both agree we like McBride slightly more. McLaurin, I would start McLaurin over Gesicki. What do you think, Wolf?
Yeah, I'm starting both of those two over Gesicki. And again, you've heard us all tonight, everybody here. We like Gesicki quite a lot.
Those are both real pieces. I mean,
yeah. I would say McBride or McLaurin.
Gesicki or Hawk? I go Gesicki.
I go Gesicki over Hawk. Yep. Let's see it.
Giuseppe, not much wide receiver depth. Would you trade Amari Cooper for Tony Pollard PPR?
I would. Yeah, I'd rather have Pollard, especially. You would acquiring Cooper for Pollard? I'd rather have Pollard on that side of the deal.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a little bit of regulation happening in the chat.
Giuseppe, you've far exceeded the question limit. It's courteous to keep it limited or send in a super chat. All right, keep that in mind.
So on a night like tonight where this is much smaller than our usual crowds. I have started to do on Sundays though, truth, because again we had 2,000 people. I probably got 400 questions, and I can't answer them all.
Right.
I started to do the top 3 questions I got from somebody, and then I didn't answer any more by that person.
Yeah, if we're swamped, that's one thing. But if we don't have a very big crowd, and it looks like we will get through the mailbag, Giuseppe's keeping things moving. So
it's fine. Yeah, and a night like this,
I hear you,
content to talk about. I have no issue with it. But on the busier nights, I have started to say, and I'll announce it when that's the rule. Like I'm going to answer your top 3 questions. So you do want to start prioritizing Giuseppe and anyone else out there. If there is a night or a Sunday where it is loaded, we are going to put on that kind of 3 question limit thing. Just for the fact of being courteous. If I had every hour in the day, yeah, of course I would answer every question we get. I have no issue with it. Giuseppe's a legend. I mean, he's been here forever. Red and black.
Giuseppe. I haven't been to many. I can't remember the last time we did a show and he wasn't around.
Exactly. I mean, he had one. I think it was the day after New Year's. Giuseppe did a live call-in from like the delivery room. It was okay.
Well, I mean, right.
It doesn't get more hardcore.
My only issue with Giuseppe at all is that he referred to CJ as the OG over me. Other than that, I like everything about the guy. All right, let's move on.
Thank you, Red Black. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Red Black, we appreciate you being here too.
Yeah, it is true, and I would say too, like if you are planning to ask like 6 questions, a little $2 super chat, doesn't go such a long way to have
unless you've been broadcasting from the delivery room.
From the delivery room,
in which case you get a pass. All right, yes. Vincent Arenado, Mike Gesicki, Chuba, and Montgomery start sit. So I'm assuming we're starting 1.
So I would rank them Montgomery, then Chuba, then Gesicki. As much as Chuba blows my mind, and what the Panthers are doing also blows my mind a little bit. Did you see he just got like a 4-year, like $50 million deal or something like that?
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy. And they spent a 2nd-round pick on Jonathan Brooks, who maybe something, maybe he's not. But how do you do both? If you want to extend Chuba, I don't blame you. He's been a really solid running back. But you shouldn't have spent a team with so many holes. I mean, look anywhere on that roster. The defense, you could have picked anybody. Offensive line, they signed some pieces, but you need some help there. Quarterback, take another stab there. Why would you draft a great running back? I think Jonathan Brooks. If you were going to then extend Chuba, and maybe it's just like Chuba has just proven it and he's earned it this year as the fill-in, and they're like, all right, we're going to reward you. I still, though, like the 2nd-round pick was already questionable, but then to like extend Chuba to this monster deal, I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me. That doesn't help Winston in fantasy, though. But I would rank them Montgomery, Chuba, and Gesicki. And again, we like Gesicki, so it shows you we like these other options.
No, but I agree with you. I don't get the Chuba thing. I just don't understand it. Yeah.
And again, it's not even that I don't like. I don't understand. I think it's a pretty big contract for a guy like Chuba Hubbard. But okay, you're going to do it. Why did you draft Jalen? I mean, maybe he really is just hurt and not coming back. Like, that could be it too.
Mike G tonight or McBride Sunday. We like McBride.
Oh, yeah, McBride there. Yep, absolutely.
Gesicki, Kincaid, or Ingram?
Oh, Gesicki. Have some fun tonight. Okay. Ingram and Gesicki is tough for me. I would put Kincaid the 3rd there. Those are tough.
Chase Brown or JK, PPR? I'd probably lean Brown.
Yeah, I lean Chase Brown over JK very slightly. Yep.
Wolf, help. I was offered Connor and Monty. Connor.
I think he typed the actual question out here.
Okay, I was offered Connor and Monty and I'm trying to decide who he. Wait, I was offered Connor.
I got what it is. So so he can give up one of he picks either Connor or Monty, whichever one he picks, and then Chuba Hubbard, and he can get any of these. So one, yes, I'd absolutely do this deal. I would do Chuba and I'd do Connor. Just because we know Connor has his annual injury and it hasn't happened yet.
I would definitely do this.
Yeah. So I would do Chuba and Connor, and I would go for Chase. Okay. I would say Chase over the other, but I would honestly do it for any of these receivers other than Hopkins. It's a no-brainer to me, honestly. But if you could get Jamar Chase,
is this serious? Is this serious? He could trade Connor and Chuba and get Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I apparently, and you should 110% do it.
You need to as much as we need our viewers, you need to leave the podcast right now and pull the trigger on this trade, and then come back by the end of the podcast and tell us you did it.
Yeah, please confirm that you've achieved that, because Chase, for those two, really any of those, Neighbors and Cup as well, any of those three, but especially Jamar Chase. Like, yes. Thank you so much, Joe Castles, for the super chat. Very generous.
Appreciate it. Deontay Johnson or Jamison Williams? To me, it's JMO.
Definitely JMO. I think they both have very similar floors right now, being nothing. We saw that from Deontay Johnson last week. We saw it from JMO last time out. I think Johnson's ceiling is very, very capped as a Raven. Could he score a touchdown tonight? Sure. Could he score a touchdown in any of these next few weeks? Sure. I see a very capped role, though, when they've already said, like, Bateman in our eyes is just as important, if not more important. Andrews is starting to reemerge. If they just decide, like, they're up huge, they're just going to run it anyways, and nobody's going to succeed as a pass catcher. Whereas, like, JMO is going to get his, like, 3 to 4 big shots. Every now and again, he connects on 2 of them and gets you 20. Oftentimes, he connects on none of them, and you get 0. But at least I have a path to 20. I really can't see a world where Deontay scores 20. I don't know. Cue it up tonight and make me regret my words. But I think similar floors and a much, much higher ceiling that we've also seen regularly from JMO. Deontay, we saw it when he was at the Panthers, and there's no one else. There's just so many mouths on an offense that will run it down your throat if that's how they can get the game to go for them. How do you feel? You feel similar?
No, I 100% agree. It's easy for me on that one.
All right, awesome.
We're getting to it. We're just a tiny bit before 8 o'clock. So let's do a couple more. I think we can finish it. But if we haven't gotten close, let's go rapid fire around 8:05.
All righty.
All right, Gesicki or Kincaid? We like Gesicki.
That's Gesicki. Yeah, we've covered that one a few times.
Evening, brother. Gesicki, Taysom Hill, or Pitts? Full PPR. We're going Gesicki.
Going Gesicki again, baby. Let's fire him up.
Enjoy your drinks, guys. Gesicki or Hawkinson? I'm torn. I'm not torn on that. Gesicki.
It's Gesicki. Let's go.
Red and Black, smash that thumbs up. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Red and Black. We appreciate it. Smash that thumbs up. New stuff. Again, a lot of new names for such a light crowd. A lot of new names. Would love to have you sub. Come on back on Sunday.
All right. Javier Delgado. Traded Swift and Reed for Debo. The team is Purdy, Brees, JT, St. Brown, Cup, Laporta, Swift, MHJ, Pollard, B-Rob, Hunt. Man, good players. Njoku, Evans. Thoughts on the team? I feel playoff ready. I think it's a great team.
It's a great team. I will say this, though. I don't think I would have traded Reed and Swift for Debo. You gave up 2 really solid weapons. So, I mean, Reed versus Debo in a 1-to-1, I do prefer Debo. I just also, though, Swift has been a monster. And I know you can only start so many. So did you upgrade on Reed? Maybe. But they have the 3rd best schedule for wide receivers in the playoffs, the Packers. They have the 7th best schedule rest of the season. Reed's been an animal. I know he's been boom or bust, and the volume hasn't been very steady. Debo kind of is that same guy too, though. So if I had to pick a side of this trade, I would have rather been on the Reed and Swift side. Do I think it makes somewhat sense because of all the depth you have? Sure. But I think you could have done a little more. You guys know I'm honest. I'm never going to just blow smoke on you. I prefer the Reed and Swift side of that.
Right. I think you might be right. I do think he has a very good team. But
very good team either way. Very good team.
That's what he was asking, what do you think of my team? And my answer.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, I think we just bash your trade.
But I agree with you, though. I agree. The trade is maybe a little suspect. Yes. All right, Willie G, my guy Willie G. Disregard the first question, Wolf. I just traded Ramondre and Cooper for Puka Nacua. You think I did the right thing? My depth is good. He does have good depth. It's true.
I do wonder, who's Casey White and why is Will G. Massey 2 different humans?
Because that's his wife.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense. I was like, who's this alter ego for Willie G. Massey? Casey White comes out at night. Oh, man. I think we lost the Truth. Oh, no, there he is. You're back. You unfroze on me. Are you there, Truth? Oh, no. The last minute, we were going to do a rapid fire anyways, but it does look like the Truth has frozen on me. I hope you guys aren't frozen. Truth, definitely just add yourself back to the feed if you unfreeze. But you definitely have oh, there you are. You are unfrozen.
We're both freezing. I think my internet's weak again. It's not going out, but the feed's not great for whatever. Yeah, anyway, you asked me how Willie and Casey could both be. They're married.
Yes. No, that made sense. I was laughing. I was like, "This Casey White comes out at night," but then it turns out it's actually just his wife, and that was Willie's alter ego over there.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you go rapid fire to defend against if I freeze up again?
Absolutely, will do. So thank you guys again. Weird crowd, small crowd, but I shouldn't say weird crowd. Awesome in terms of you guys are awesome and asking great questions. Strangely small crowd for what we normally do. I don't get it. It doesn't, would love to see more, but hey, you guys are here. You're asking great questions, some sort of technical glitch or whatever it is. Hope this doesn't become the norm. That would be too bad, but hey, it happens. One last call, though, for a thumbs up button, a heart, a retweet, any of that stuff, so we can keep getting there. And, of course, all the new names out there would love to have you subscribe. We got Njoku and Dobbins or Connor for Lamar. That's way too much, way too moving parts. Not trading Lamar for it. Go get yourself one of the stud running backs, JT. Shop worth keeping or sell high. Shop D-Hop worth keeping. I like D-Hop a lot. I do like D-Hop. For sure. Willie, you do not need to apologize at all. You come to all the shows. You ask great questions.
We're just messing with you, man.
A double question from your alter ego that comes out at night is no issue at all. We just like to mess with you. No apology needed at all. Good evening. First time here. Will Gesicki have a good night? Case Scott, welcome. Glad to have you. I think he's going to have a really good night. Again, no T. Higgins. He's been a smash. 31% route targets per route run. 15.1 fantasy points per game in PPR. The guy's been very, very solid. You've seen great volume. Even though he doesn't run a ton of routes, he gets a lot of volume on the routes he runs. And Eric All did just tear his ACL too, unfortunately. Great rookie, intriguing talent, but he's done for the year, which opens up the path even more for Gesicki. So yeah, he's my tight end. I meant to have him at 6. He's ranked ahead of Ingram, and I'm not going to pause the stream to change it. I don't think it's that bad. There's no need to have back and forths there. There's no need for bickering in there, but no, we know Giuseppe's a legend. I think Red and Black wanted to, he's trying to be nice. It is a lot of streams do limit your questions and all that stuff. We typically don't do that unless it's a massive, massive audience, which we've had in the past, but this is not one of them. But you guys will be good friends. You're both good fans. No need to fight with fans in the channel. Bulldog, Taysom Hill or Juwan Jennings. I'd probably go Taysom Hill in that. I feel good about his volume this week. I do love Juwan Jennings coming back, though. That's a tough one. Start Gesicki over Ingram. I go Ingram, even though my rankings don't reflect that right now. Kyron or Chase Brown. I do go Kyron there. Anthony Gomez. Closer than it should be. Be careful playing Jaguar receivers and tight ends. Your QB isn't playing. So it does sound like Trevor Lawrence is done for the week at least. So, yeah, that does change things up for a guy like Brian Thomas. Yeah. But, I mean, at least Brian Thomas had good games with Lawrence. It's like now it becomes an unknown what's going to happen. But certainly nobody's missing Lawrence like for the quarterback spots. More so what happens to these weapons.
Right.
Because I guess all the more reason, though, to play Gesicki over Ingram, I guess. Gesicki or Hawkinson, I'm definitely going to go Gesicki there. Let's watch Hawkinson get himself healthy. Am I crazy for looking at Giants D over Broncos? Not at all. I would do the same, and I am doing the same. AR Cannabis, that match against the Panthers. Let's go. I'm the one with Chase Neighbors, Cup Hopkins. You want the receivers there, Jose. You're getting swindled. Eric Allworth, the IR. And Dino, maybe, but he just keeps tearing it, right? Like, I think this is like his third time tearing it, so I don't think so, Eric. Eric Allsworth at Jaws. I'd go Gesicki over Kincaid, Josh American. PPR trade, Josh Jacobs and Sutton for Walker. I'd rather have Walker of those deals. Told you I'll be back. Glad I can watch in its entirety. Hey, thank you for coming back, you W1 Kicks. Always love the repeat customers. Pick 2, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Drake May. I go Lamar as the obvious one. I don't think you need to ask about him, EW1 Kicks. It comes down to Kyler Murray or Drake May. I mean, Drake May is averaging like 20 points to start. Kyler, they get the Jets. We just saw, a 5 to 6 point dud for him. I sneaky like Drake May there.
Wow. What a homer.
Yeah. I don't know. You would go Kyler over Drake May?
I'd have to look at the numbers. My instincts would say Kyler, but I mean, this is, quite a matchup that we're giving to the people in London.
I mean, Drake, who do they face this week? The Pats. The Chicago Bears is actually a really bad matchup. I'd go Kyler. I mean, if you have two guys in bad matchups, Kyler's done it longer. I would go with Kyler there. Obviously, Lamar. There's plenty of competition for my IR list, by the way. Hey, let me know who you're thinking, Jaws. I love that. Kincaid or Gesicki? Again, we've already said Gesicki for that one. Like, share, sub, people. Absolutely. Thumbs up button. Would greatly appreciate it. Like, share, and sub. Thanks for answering my question. I'm in bed with pneumonia trying to watch you all. Hey, K. Scott, we're happy to answer your question. I'm glad you chose to. I hope you feel better. Pneumonia's no joke. I've been there. Yeah. So get better soon, K. Scott. I'm glad we could hopefully provide a few minutes of relief and some fantasy knowledge for you in bed there. AR
back next week, too.
Cannabis, right? Is that how do you pronounce it, Truth?
AR Cannabis.
Okay. I wonder if I randomly called him R Cannabis or something one night. But I always think I'd call it AR Cannabis.
Maybe I say R Cannabis. I definitely pronounced the cannabis part correctly.
Yeah. haven't tripped up on the cannabis. I always thought it was R Cannabis, but maybe
no. I think I do. I think I say R Cannabis, but honestly, now that you put me on the spot, I don't remember it. But I appreciate the thanks.
Yeah, let me know AR or R Cannabis. What do you prefer to be called? I never even thought to ask. I'm glad Truth nails it. Sounds like he's not even sure which one he goes with, probably because of cannabis. But yeah, let us know the right way to pronounce the name. And of course, I don't think either of us are going to stumble our tongues on like tripping up on the production of that. What's that? CANNABI cannabis?
I know.
No, yeah, I think we. It's
okay.
Right.
So it's R Cannabis. It's R Cannabis.
Well, good to know. Now we know it's R Cannabis. That's my bad. MHJ over BTJ. If Lawrence can't go, I still. I don't know, Charlie. I haven't dove deep into this one. We have till Sunday to decide that. I know you'll be back on Sunday, or shoot me a text. We'll figure this one out. So yeah, Drake May plays the Bears, and it's a lose-lose. It's like you said. You're pointing out there. EW1 kicks. I do think in the case of bad matchups, the Jets have actually been like not that bad of a matchup. They're not great, but it's not like last year where you really couldn't start anybody against their defense. So I'd go with that one. I would go Drake. I would go Kyler over Drake, man. Hi, folks. Question from Brazil. Hey, I love that.
From Brazil.
We're making these rules.
We appreciate it. We really appreciate it. It's just shocking.
I love it. We have him from Brazil. We have Tomas from Medina comments in. We used to have Link Clegg. I don't know where that mother.
Don't you remember? Yeah, he was hardcore, and we had
He's from Australia.
We had a guy from Ireland that was a real regular. Remember?
Fraser McDonald's from Scotland.
Fraser.
Maybe that's what you think.
He loved the Vikings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Where are you at,
I
Fraser?
remember. Yep.
Anyway, go ahead.
I was just gonna say though, if we're making rules about limiting how many questions you ask, I'd love to be a rule, like remind us where you're from with one of your questions at least. Most of you might be local, and hey, that's cool too. But I love that we're getting international here. So, vice minutes to commit a crime. I think you meant to say 5 minutes to commit a crime. I love it. McBride against the Jets or shootout with Gesicki. I like McBride still over Gesicki, but it's close. I get why the shootout's tempting, Oscar. And
you got it within 5 minutes.
All right, so it's R Cannabis. Thanks, fellas. Just enjoy watching the show, busting balls. Hey, we want to get it right, and I know you super chat many, many times. R Cannabis. There we go. Y'all the best. Thanks as always. Wolf, you got me the playoffs last year, but lost me. Hey, I didn't lose anybody the trophy. I'll never. I always feel bad not getting it right. I always want to get it right. You made your choice. I will never accept. You lost me the trophy, AR Cannabis from now on. Now you're always AR. No, I'm just messing with you too. But hey, you made your own decisions. You asked for my opinion. I'll always give you the info. So I'm glad to get you there. It always is a toss-up. You always want to get a perfect record. And as a loyal fan, I wish I got it right for you. I'm not sitting here like blaming you. It ultimately is your fault. I'm not going to take your blame. I won't. Because I answer a million of these a day. I'm going to get some wrong. You make your choices. But ultimately, of course, I wish I got it right. I want to bring home the trophy. Remind me what the question was, R Cannabis. I don't remember who it was, but it's going to make me just cry and cringe. Definitely shoot in the comments what the dilemma was, because I do answer a lot of them. I can't remember exactly what it was. And so, yeah, let me know what it was there. But no, that's classic. I hopefully will bring home the trophy this year. And I'll do my best to get it right for you always. But guys, that will wrap it up. Thanks again so much for everyone that was able to join us. RotoStreetJournal.com is where you can find my updated rankings. One last like, heart button, retweet, wherever you are. A weird off views night. I definitely think something's up in terms of the reporting truth. Maybe not. We got a lot of new people calling here. We got some awesome people. Hit that sub button. I'll be live Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern time ahead of the London game, answering all your sit starts. And I have Neighbors and Tracy, so I'm not going to sign off right at 9:30 when it kicks off, but I have some juice in that game, so I'm not going to be going the full. I'll probably start it early, guys. Maybe I'll start at like 7:45 on Sunday morning for that one because I do want to see my boys in London. It's very rare I'm excited to watch my Giants play, but when they get to beat up on the Panthers, I should say my Giants. I hate the Giants.
Your Giants. You just called them your Giants.
I meant my Giants of like Tracy and Neighbors.
I know, but you heard how it came out.
I heard how it came out, and I bit my tongue, and I puked a little in my mouth saying it. It's a miserable experience having to watch those games. But I don't think this weekend in London, I want to see my boy Malik Neighbors. I want to see my guy Tyrone Tracy go nuts. My Giants. I can't believe that came out of my mouth. I'm sick to my stomach. Ugh. I don't remember. So it must have been Breece Hall, a question about Breece Hall. Can't remember, but ARK, definitely feel free to remind me. Thanks again, guys, so much for being here. Hopefully it helps you out. Enjoy the game tonight. And in a world full of fancy sheep, be the wolf. RotoStreetJournal.com. Check it on out. See you guys.